The morning of April 11th, 2023, in Cheltenham Township, PA, just north of Philadelphia, 35-year-old Rachel King stopped at Dunkin' to place an order for herself and her 11-year-old son. As she pulled up to the drive-thru, Rachel was unaware that she had been followed there. It's unclear how long the car had been trailing Rachel, but when she pulled up to Dunkin', the driver parked the car in a nearby parking lot, walked up to Rachel's side of the car, and let off shots multiple times through her car window. Although the identity of the shooter was unknown, witnesses said it was a man. And when that man approached her car, he did not say a word. Rachel's 11-year-old son was in the back seat, and he witnessed everything. The boy, in complete shock, got out of the car and ran for help. He ended up making a call to their family to let them know what happened. His mother was gone in what appeared to be a targeted attack. It wasn't a stick-up or robbery. The man did not take anything from Rachel. It's as if he was only there for one thing, and that was more valuable than any possession: her life. She was a school teacher for the last 10 years at an elementary school. Those at school knew her as Miss King, and many wondered who would be after Miss King and why did they want her life. We're going to get into it, but first, take a second to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and click the notification bell for all updates. If you're watching from Philadelphia and the surrounding areas, anywhere in the Philly metro, drop Philly below in the comments.
Now at 4, new developments in this morning's murder at a Montgomery County drive-thru. These images of the suspect's vehicle have just been released. Authorities say the gunman used that car to follow the 35-year-old victim to a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, where he got out and shot her at close range. All this playing out while her 11-year-old son sat in the back seat. It is Tuesday afternoon. I'm Brian Taft.
And I'm Sarah Bloomquist. The big story on Action News is the new developments out of Cheltenham Township. Authorities asking the public for any tips that could lead them to the gunman. This as we are learning more about the victim.
Action News reporter Maggie Kent live now at the scene. Following the latest, Maggie, what more can you tell us this afternoon?
Brian and Sarah, Rachel King's boyfriend returned here to the scene looking for some potential answers. He didn't have much to say, of course, absolutely distraught about losing his girlfriend, but he did tell me this. King was on her way with her 11-year-old son to drop him off at violin practice this morning when she was murdered in front of him. Cheltenham police are looking for the driver of this vehicle. They say got out of the car, walked up to 35-year-old Rachel King's SUV at the Dunkin' drive-thru and shot her. It was at the height of the morning rush at the Melrose Shopping Center off Cheltenham Avenue just before 8 a.m.
8 o'clock in the morning is a busy time, so it's scary.
Investigators say King was with her 11-year-old son in that SUV. The 35-year-old teacher within the Mastery charter school system was shot multiple times. Her son was not physically injured.
Yeah, the fact that it was, happened in the morning it's actually ridiculous. It's crazy. People are ruthless nowadays.
Authorities describe the act as an apparent targeted shooting. The gunman wore a hood to cover his identity and didn't utter a word to the victim before fatally shooting her. And again, the victim's boyfriend tells me that she was a dedicated mother, and she was also a very highly educated, going for her master's degree and also getting her principal's certificate. She was a teacher at Grover Cleveland Elementary School as part of the Master Charter School system. They released a statement saying they'll have a 2-hour delayed opening at school tomorrow and counselors on hand. In that statement, they thanked Ms. King for her dedication for the last decade to her students and their parents. We're live in Cheltenham. Maggie Kent, Channel 6, Action News.
According to Rachel's brother, her 11-year-old son is receiving counseling right now to help him deal with all of this mentally and emotionally. It's a very traumatic experience, not only losing his mother, but witnessing it. That would be far too much for anybody, especially an 11-year-old child.
The life of a Philadelphia school teacher and mother cut short after she was shot and killed Tuesday in a Cheltenham Dunkin' drive-thru with her son in the car.
35-year-old Rachel King was a beloved mother to an 11-year-old. son, Jalen, and she was also a very popular teacher, cherished by her students at Grover Cleveland Elementary School. And she was even featured here on Fox 29 on The Classroom, where she gave out a shout out to her son.
Huge shout out right now, and you know who that's to? My man Jalen. What up, second grader, the coolest one in the books.
Yes!
Hey, study, dude. She's awesome. Make sure you study.
I told you, Mom,
do your homework.
And the search is still on for the shooter, and we are joined now by her brother, Alan King. Thank you.
Good morning.
For
Condolences.
Yeah, I can't imagine what this has been like for you.
Yeah, it's not been easy. Just taking care of my nephew right now, though. It's just been a lot in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
How is Jalen doing?
As we expected, I don't think it's really hit him yet. He just keeps saying his stomach hurts, and I can't tell him it's not food, and it's not, he's sick. It just doesn't stop. But he's eating, so that's a good thing. It's like a measurement of, I guess, processing. But yeah, he's carrying a picture around of my sister. He won't let it go. He's everywhere he goes, it's in his hand. I'm just afraid it's going to get wrinkled or rip or something, and he won't have it.
And do you think he even understands what happened? Or, I mean, he was there. It's just, do you think he even knows, as, like you said, it's processing?
Yeah, I don't. My sister, unfortunately, was in 2 accidents. She totaled her car, and he was in the car for one and saw the other one, and cars are just not going to be his favorite thing for a while, I think, which is really unfortunate.
Before we get further in the details, your sister, she was your best friend.
Yeah, I mean, we were 2.5 years apart by the day. Like September 25th, March 25th, we went to school together, took the school bus together, walked to school together, got in trouble if we left each other from school. Like, she pulled me out of fights. I was her little big brother. Like, that was my girl.
Mm-hmm. And like, what are some good memories that you have of, you know, from you two and being so close?
She dressed me from kindergarten to 7th or 8th grade. Every day, set an outfit out. Like I was her own personal baby doll. But without her, I would have no style at all. Some people might still say I don't, but I think I did pretty good because of her.
Yeah. And then into adulthood, because I'm sure, you were also very involved in Jalen's life too.
Yeah, and he likes to get dressed too, which is nice. I mean, they're best friends. He would get dressed and show his mom, so she'd be proud of the outfit he picked out. I mean, he had purple sneakers on and a purple hoodie on yesterday, and I would not wear purple at 11 years old, so he knew what he was doing.
He's got style.
So it's no surprise she was so loved at her elementary school.
The kids, a year ago, they did like a little program for her, and the kids called her room home. Like, it was a safe place for them. She would stay after school all the time, be late coming home all the time, just to stay with kids. Kids who weren't in her class anymore. They graduated, they were there in her class 3-4 years ago. Would just come back just to be in Mrs. King's room.
What do you think it was about her that students were so drawn to?
Oh, she was as real as it gets. My sister had a bachelor's degree, a master's education, was getting her principal's certificate, but was still very much so, like, we're from West Philly. And she was from West Philly, so she was loud, she was bright, she was real. There wasn't a wall between the teacher and the student. There was a relationship. Like, she made it, hey, you're learning so you can be better off. And it wasn't just you're learning to get a grade.
Reporters spoke to Rachel's boyfriend, her brother, and her father. All of them speaking out, warning investigators to find that man who followed her that day to Dunkin' Donuts. They want him to pay for taking Rachel away, and really needed answers because none of it made sense. Then a couple of weeks later, authorities arrested and charged 2 people in connection to the case.
Now at 4 o'clock, a cold-blooded murder carried out in front of the victim's son. That's how Montgomery County's DA described the shooting death of a Cheltenham Township mother who was gunned down at a drive-thru earlier this month. Today, the DA announced 2 arrests in that case and detailed the elaborate plot to have her killed. It is Wednesday afternoon. I'm Brian Taff.
And I'm Sarah Bloomquist. The big story on Action News, the arrest of 2 suspects for the murder of 35-year-old school teacher Rachel King. Authorities say this all started when King's longtime boyfriend ended a relationship with one of the suspects.
Action News reporter Sharifa Jackson live outside the Montgomery County Courthouse in Norristown today with more on the disturbing details laid out by investigators this morning. Sharifa.
Yeah, Brian, Sarah, the Montgomery County District Attorney says the plan to kill King, it was orchestrated over 2 months. In the days and weeks leading up to her murder, that she was watched and she was followed. Now, the District Attorney also says that neither the shooter nor the woman they believe was the mastermind behind this plot knew the victim. Today, the Montgomery County District Attorney, Kevin Steele, identified 35-year-old Julie Jean as the mastermind behind this brutal killing and 33-year-old Zaki Alakim as the shooter. Both are charged with murder and conspiracy in the death of 35-year-old Rachel King, killed in cold blood in this Cheltenham Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru April 11th.
It was a murder for hire. It is a horrific killing of an innocent young teacher in front of her 11-year-old son.
The DA says King had been in a long-term relationship with a man named William Hayes, who had an affair with Jean last year. He obtained a protection from abuse order in December after Jean allegedly continued to harass both Hayes and the victim. But it didn't stop there. Officials say Jean then reached out to Alakim, plotted and planned to murder King, exchanging pictures of King and maps of her home. The DA said they purchased a ghost gun and a car to follow and stalk King. Ballistic evidence would later connect King's murder to shell casings collected in a Philadelphia murder that happened 4 days prior on the 5100 block of North Broad Street.
We didn't recover the gun, but we recovered a photo that our experts say it's consistent with the gun that was used in both murders.
King was a beloved mother and teacher at Grover Cleveland Mastery Charter School, where she taught for 10 years. Today, her parents thanked law enforcement and called for swift, accurate, and fair justice.
Our hearts are hurting, but we also believe this: in time, they will be healed.
And between the two defendants, investigators say that they recovered hundreds of deleted pictures, text messages, and also information about a Cash App payment. Reporting from Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, Sharifa Jackson, Channel 6 Action News.
Absolutely crazy. So now we know that the man who followed Rachel to Dunkin' that morning is this man here, Zaki Alakim, 33 years old, from Philadelphia, or shall I say Philadelphia. He had been following her for days and she was monitored for weeks. Allegedly hired by this woman here, 35-year-old Julie John. Not sure where these folks are from. Definitely have some different names here, but this guy is obviously a professional at this. He can walk up and not say a word, take out his target right there on site, broad daylight. And now, since he got caught up here, he's been linked to another hit that happened a couple of days before. Seems like people, they hire this one right here when they want to get rid of somebody, and his only job is to ride around Philly collecting bodies. Just crazy. And the woman they're saying hired him to take out Rachel King, Julie is supposed to be the mastermind behind all of this. She was reportedly involved romantically with Rachel's boyfriend last year, and when he tried to cut things off with Julie, she became aggressive and obsessive, which is why he took out some sort of protection order against her. Julie made Rachel her enemy, and she used this man right here to help her get rid of her. A lot of crazy people are just like Julie. If you make them angry, they won't let it go, and this is how you end up behind bars. Then Rachel's boyfriend. They repeated over and over that he was her longtime boyfriend. And I was just wondering, how long is long time? Her son is 11 years old, and he's not the father of her son. So it can't really be that long. But then again, these days, people may call 3 or 5 years long time to make these questionable relationships seem more serious than what they really are. Like, I don't know, did Julie think that he was her longtime boyfriend too? So it sounds like he wasn't committed to any of these women. It seems like he was seeing them in the meantime with no real concrete commitment with either woman. And honestly, if you're a single unmarried man, that's what I would expect. The problem is he started dealing with crazy, and crazy is always a liability. Julie was a liability to him, to Rachel, and any other woman he was dealing with. Julie, though, was definitely out of order, really foolish here. Like, how do you get so angry and jealous and possessive over a man, especially one that's not even yours? Julie, if the man didn't want to deal with you anymore, go away, move along. In her mind, though, she had such a problem with Rachel that she put money in this guy's hands, basically destroying Rachel in her own life as well. While the man that she was mad over, he's going to be out with another woman now. And obviously, this guy Zaki, he was going to end up behind bars anyway. We only know about 2 bodies, but he's 33 years old. It's no telling how many of these killings he's responsible for. It's a horrible situation. Sending condolences to the family of Rachel King, her son, her parents, her siblings, her whole family. It's just no reason why this had to happen. But let's go ahead and get the conversation started below in the comments and let me know what you think about all of this. Special thank you to our brother Edmund. I appreciate you, Edmund, for all of your support for the channel. Gotta send a huge shout out to Kimberly and her daughters. They're only 7 and 13 years old and they stay locked into the channel with their mother. So shout out to Kimberly and her wonderful daughters, as well as our sister Tanette. Also, can't forget about our brothers Dark Power, Nuke, and Fritz. Don't forget that you can support this channel as well. Links to Cash App and PayPal are below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to like and share.